Good morning, zookeepers, and welcome back. Today we're making an enclosure for the African leopard. This is one of the creatures that came free for everyone as a celebration. And yeah, honestly, it looks amazing, this creature. So I was very excited to stick it into my zoo and have a nosy. I say zoo, this is just me making enclosures. And I'm kind of making it slightly themed unlike I usually do, just so it kind of sticks in. So sort of the outside of the enclosure will fit in with the rest of the other enclosures. That's the kind of idea, a similar kind of it's like standing barrier. Anyways, I actually had a look at a few enclosures for African leopards, and they all look really similar. They all have almost like an aviary style appearance to it, with mesh walls and mesh roof. So yeah, that's the kind of vibe I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna have an actual building as well for them, and two of the ones I looked at, they actually have a stone wall background. I was originally going to use fake rock, but to be honest, I really do like the stylization of this wall right here that I've got at the back. So I've placed that down, and we're just going to make it look like the mesh roof above is going to have plenty of supports, that it's going to be strong enough to hold itself and isn't going to cave in. Now, looking at a few different enclosures for this leopard, they don't actually have bars keeping the roof up in the middle of the enclosure. They actually just have a few extra bars underneath. It's sort of built up strength that way. So that's the kind of vibe I will go for with it. And when I was actually going into the habitat settings itself, it doesn't look like there is anything for the African leopard yet. So I'm just using the Amur leopard stuff. I'm guessing it's going to be pretty much the same. So I don't know when they're going to add that, or if it's just been accidentally missed out, I don't know. But it doesn't matter too much. When I've actually placed all these items down for them, I noticed that they are using exactly the same stuff as the Amur leopard. So I ain't complaining. We saw it in the end. It struck me at first. I was like, what am I meant to do? But nevertheless, we got there in the end. Placed down all this little bits of enrichment, things fun to climb on and walk around. And yeah, it was just really nice. And it is a bit later we'll see them use that, which is nice to see. As well, we're going to be placing roof supports in now, and as you see, I'm doing it double stacked, because that's literally how I saw this enclosure. They had double stack keeping it up rather than having bars in the middle. I'm not a structural engineer, so I don't really know how that is. And now as you can see, I'm looking for a small bit to go in between these bars, because that's how it looked like in that, but I couldn't find anything small enough, so I just sort of I kind of left it. I was like, it looks all right. It looks like it's doing a job. So yeah, I don't know if there is something small I can fit in there that looks like it's part of those supports, and I just didn't find what I was looking for. But that's something I can do another day. At the moment, I'm pretty happy with the way that bit looks. As well, in one of the enclosures, they had this hanging net. I know that they won't actually use this, but I kind of want to add it anyway. So I'm sort of messing around, trying to see how I'd like it. I'm going to have it so it's attached to the mesh rather than the support bars, because that means having to mess around loads and have it where I didn't really want it. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I didn't use mesh. I used wood. I used some wood support beams to keep it up there, and I feel like it kind of fit in with the rest of the enclosure. I use the conversations. What I'm trying to say, conservation. There we go. I used the conservation wood to actually use that support poles. I don't know if I recorded that bit or cut that bit out, because this was already quite a long build as it was, and I didn't really want to be making this video way too long. I'd quite like my shorter content, because it makes it easier to watch from start to finish. For me, I don't know how many people like watching half-hour long videos of things being built. I do try and make it in the time I have somewhat short, roughly. I think making these enclosures, I try and spend about an hour, no more than an hour, because I've got a lot of stuff to do as it is. So an hour is quite long, and it's fun. It's part of my day, and I really enjoy it. But yeah, I found this little bit of metal bar here. I was like, oh, that looks like an extra support, so I go around adding all of those to the enclosure, just on the bar, so it looks like it's supporting the main bit. And the only thing I know about structures, that triangles and corners help strengthen whatever you're placing up to some degree. And so I added that, and then went back to my windows. And I just made it so it looked like there was a nice bit of framework around there, so it wasn't just like the glass going into the brickwork. Actually, it looks like it's a window frame. It's been placed in there. And then I just go around on the inside to make it look different from the outside. I go and put a load of plaster walls, so it looks like there's been some kind of attempt to make it look nice inside rather than it just being brick with no insulation layers. So that's something I started doing in my builds now, because a lot of time I was like, feel like looking at the build, it's like there's something missing. And the brickwork looks the same on the outside as it does on the inside. And I thought, you know what, it's time to actually start dressing up the inside of my buildings a bit better and make it look interesting and sort of different, look like there's layers to the building like actual buildings have. And then right now what we're doing is just making sure the door sort of fits in with the rest of the building and there isn't any gaps around it, like on the top or on the sides, and just using the same brickwork so it all like looks the same and matches in quite nicely. And then for the roof, I wanted just to keep it nice and somewhat simple, so we use these like slate tiles, and then we have like a sort of I forget the name, is it skylight you call it? Skylight in the middle. And then I wanted like a bit of shelter for our guests, so if it rains they can still see the inside enclosure area without the like getting wet. At first I tried this and I was like, do I like it? And I was like, I stepped back a bit, had a little nosy and was like very 50-50 with it. So I do change it in the end. I can't remember where I recorded the change. Yeah, I did. Okay. So there we go. I just used this little slant. So it's like a little bit of cover. It wasn't too crazy. And it sort of breaks up the building a wee bit. And then we use our standoff barrier so guests aren't getting too close to the enclosure. And again, like I said, I'm going to try and keep in with the theme with the rest of the zoo. Also, the enclosure itself and around it doesn't look quite the same, which I'm not really massively bothered about, just because this is, like I said, it's not really me building a zoo, it's just me building enclosures. If it ends up looking like a zoo at the end of it and looks kind of decent, then I'm not going to complain. But right here, I was sort of like looking at different decorational features that are already in the game, and I didn't want to build mine from scratch. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to change up a little bit, get rid of the crocs, put this leopard statue on there to sort of represent that it's going to be an African leopard. I just feel like it needed a wee bit of decoration on the outside, especially in that big open area, but I wasn't too sure what to build myself at the time. Maybe I might go back to it and change it and do something of my own, but honestly, I really enjoy it. It's in the game to be used, so I'm going to use it nevertheless. And again, like I said, I can always come back to it and change it. Like that massive open gap between the enclosure is currently just short grass. I could say that the staff have mowed it down, but then I was like, you know what, I might come back to it, do a bit of rock work and some like longer grasses, put some natural plants in there. I know in a lot of modern day zoos there's a lot of like that real wilding project going on, so a lot of space has been decorated up with flowers and things like that for like natural species in the area. And yeah, anyways, you see right now I'm just sort of adding like a load of plants and things and trying to change up the way I decorate the inside of my enclosures to make it look somewhat interesting, something different, adding more layers. I'll use like a load of little rocks and a few big rocks, and then because there's going to be like natural trails where animals walk through the enclosure, they're going to kill a lot of the plants off and things like that. So I've made it so it's only clusters where there's a load of rocks where it looks like there's not going to be that much walking going on. So that's where the grasses are all pluming and things like this. Different layers, different plants in there, just to make it look interesting. And honestly, I really do like the effect. I know we don't have pampas grass, but the reason why I was having it not too massive, but then low enough, I'm going for, there's like a small decorative pampas grass, and I can't remember the name of it, but there's loads of houses in my area that have it, so I was like, you know what, it looks kind of close, and that's what I'm going to use it as. But anyways, something I find funny about these leopards, they have really long jumps, like, they can like almost jump the entire enclosure, which is funny. But honestly, look at that model. Isn't it great? Like the fur on it. They've done a really great job of it. And I was just like to be honest, I've never actually seen an animal defecate yet, or any of my big cats. And I was like, that's surprising to me. I weren't ready for it. It just made me think of my cat in the litter tray, to be honest. So yeah, I kind of kept that in there because I was just like, I've never noticed that before. I don't know how. I've been playing this game for like, when did I get this game? Was it the beginning of the year? I've been playing it for a while now. I was just like, oh yeah, they do defecate. Obviously the zookeepers pick up the poo and things, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why have I not seen that before? But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this build, and I hope it's given you some inspiration. I haven't added this to the workshop yet. I was kind of like rushing towards the end, so I didn't have time to like do things like that. So if you do want it in the workshop, let me know in the comments and I will add it there. But as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, I'll see you later.